They called him Benny.
Benny.
Benny, the biggest comedian and the best. Oh, hey there. Sorry, excuse my singing, I didn't see you. I was just taking a stroll down memory lane and singing, fondly remembering one of the greatest comedians to ever live, Benny Hill.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being with us.
Loved by many and hated by others, Hill was the king of slapstick comedy and innuendo. In the latter parts of the 1980s, the social tides turned, and the once beloved jokes were viewed as risque and unacceptable. Benny Hill's show was canceled, and he was never the same man again. If you enjoy this Benny throwback, make sure to give this video a like for us, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a premiere. I'm your host, Nostalgic Nick, and let's jump right in. Humble beginnings. At the start of his career, Benny Hill, hard to believe, suffered from extreme stage fright. His voice was quiet, and he had problems projecting. That's hard to imagine. Benny Hill grew up in Southampton, England, in the late 1920s and 30s. His parents and classmates lovingly remembered him as, of course, the class clown. As Benny Hill said, quote, "Do unto others, then run." Can't you just imagine the kind of mischief he caused for his poor teachers? Ultimately, Benny dropped out of school as a teenager to move to London. He had aspirations of becoming a comedian, but he had to work odd jobs first, eventually working for a theater company. Hill joined the British Army in 1942, working as a mechanic during World War II. He even served as a truck driver and searchlight operator in Normandy, and Hill made sure to entertain his fellow troops in variety shows, adopting the name Benny Hill, his tribute to Jack. Before the end of World War II, he was transferred to the Combined Services Entertainment Division because he was so good at making people laugh.
Unleavern! Feuer!
Hill's humor made the soldiers forget their current hardships. Cheap or frugal? Benny Hill was a millionaire who lived a frugal lifestyle. He made 7 figures during the height of his show's popularity, but he had a phobia of spending money. The comedic genius would only buy groceries that were on sale. He'd walk to work, and he glued the soles back onto his shoes to make them last longer. He regularly patched his clothes to make them last longer as well. And you thought mom clipping coupons once a week was cheap. Benny Hill never owned his own home or car, believing they were too expensive. He rented a flat for his entire professional life. And Benny could drive a car, but he chose not to purchase one, instead choosing to walk or ride the bus. Can you imagine being the bus driver and Benny Hill just climbs aboard? Now that's a story for dinner for sure. But Benny Hill did spend money on one thing, that's for certain: travel.
There are those that say, oh, he's a recluse. They should see me reclusing in the south of France.
He loved visiting France and would go as frequently as he could, so he wasn't a complete stiff. He just had priorities. But even when he traveled, he never stopped working. He would constantly be mailing show ideas back home to his producers. And that's how you make it. Stage fright. Benny Hill first started acting on the stage when he moved to London, but he did not enjoy it and had a hard time connecting with a live audience. He then moved into the world of radio and had more success. Eventually, this led him to television. His first TV appearance was on Hi There, and immediately audiences were won over by his amazing comedic timing. Hill's next venture was writing and producing his very own television show. Benny Hill, the man who originally suffered from stage fright, was ready to share his comedic genius with the world.
What is the idea of coming home at 4 o'clock this morning?
There was nowhere else to go!
He only spent 7 weeks on the scripts for The Benny Hill Show before pitching the idea. And of course, the producers loved it and offered him a deal on the spot. The Benny Hill Show aired in over 100 countries between 1955 and 1989. Hill was known for combining multiple styles in a revolutionary way. He used vaudeville, comedy, musical numbers.
Hi, everybody. You know, tonight I thought
and so much more in his show. The Benny Hill Show began airing in America in the 1970s and further projected Hill to stardom. The show had been popular in Europe, but it grew immensely in America. Benny Hill idolized Charlie Chaplin and was thrilled to find out that Chaplin liked his work. Hill was awarded the Charlie Chaplin International Award for Comedy in 1991 and was invited to visit Chaplin in his family home. In addition to his television success, Benny also appeared in some movies. For example, he was the toy maker in the blockbuster hit Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1968. He also had a few songs that performed well on the UK singles chart. His songs were hilarious, and people loved them. The song Ernie, that I was embarrassingly singing at the top of the tour. Now, Ernie hit #1 on the charts.
He drove the fastest milk cart in the West.
And it was about the fastest milkman in the West. Absolutely genius. Self-image issues. Benny Hill struggled with self-worth issues. Friends claim that at times Benny Hill was lonely, depressed, and felt unattractive. The comedic star confided to his friend Sarah Kemp that he felt unattractive to women and that he wasn't lovable. Hill had proposed to 3 women in his lifetime and was rejected by all 3 of them. An infamous Benny Hill quote states, "Before I met her, I drank and swore without reason. Now I have a reason." Cancelled. Benny Hill's comedy show, which had begun in the 1950s and was so successful for many years, had an issue. Hill did not take into account the changing social climate of the 1980s. The feminist movement found Hill's comedy sexist and politically incorrect. Benny Hill didn't understand why people's opinion of his shows had changed so rapidly, because he hadn't changed the formula for his show, saying, quote, "I'm not against half-naked girls, not as often as I'd like to be." Maybe that was the issue, Benny. And Hill was informed that his show would be canceled in June 1989. John Howard Davies cited claims that the show wasn't performing well anymore, and that the production costs were just too high. Benny Hill was devastated, and his health slowly began to decline. Fans of The Benny Hill Show claim that he was an early victim of cancel culture. Many of Hill's friends defended his style of humor, arguing that men were often the targets of his jokes. His friends argued that Hill was unfairly treated and wrongly accused of being a sexist monster. Many will remember Benny Hill providing a light in the entertainment world and bringing a smile to so many. Death by a broken heart. Benny Hill did not have a record of health problems until his show was canceled in 1989. Hill was extremely passionate about his work, and his heart was broken when his producers cut the show. His health steadily declined for 3 years. He no longer had an audience or anyone that cared what he had to say, and Benny became more lonely and isolated as time went on. He suffered a mild heart attack in February 1992, and doctors recommended that he have a heart bypass surgery. Benny Hill declined. A few months later, his kidneys failed, and he passed away alone in his apartment on April 20th, 1992. He was found sitting in his armchair with the television on. Benny Hill never married or fathered any children, so his wealth was divided among his 7 nieces and nephews. His estate was worth a whopping 7.5 million British pounds. Benny Hill was laid to rest in Hollybrook Cemetery in Southampton. Rumors circulated that Benny Hill had been buried with gold jewelry, and grave robbers horribly attempted to dig up his grave and take it. They didn't find any gold. Joke's on them. Benny Hill left behind a formidable legacy. Countless people loved his sense of humor and remember him fondly. Then you do have the other side. You have people who found his sense of humor crude and risque. But no matter your opinion on the comedian, one thing will remain. Benny Hill brought laughter to this world, and the world was brighter because of him. So what are your thoughts? Do you think Benny Hill was crude and distasteful, or do you think he was bright and lovable? Let us know in the comments below, and let's remember Benny Hill together. If you enjoyed this tribute, please give it a thumbs up for us, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. From all of us here at Do You Remember, thanks for watching. I'll leave you with one more Benny quote. Just because nobody complains doesn't mean all parachutes are perfect.